Alright, so with the first real Halo tournament we've had in like 3 months or so, I felt it was an opportune time to come back and sort of talk about how everything's been going in general. To those of you who might be a little bit new, my name is Maliki, and in these types of videos, I'm basically going to be picking out the main points, any highlights from DreamHack Denver, how it's relevant for that time, how it's relevant for the future, and just give overall thoughts on everything. So DreamHack Denver, it was also set to be the fall finals for Pro League, the latest season that just passed by. But unlike the last fall finals, this one was completely open, so you had teams from the amateur bracket making it into the pro bracket, and because of that we had a lot of interesting matches, more upsets than what we normally would have, and in one case a bit of history making too.
Any capture, they've got some focus at bottom middle, he hits the ground pound, but he's not able to get the finish, it doesn't matter.
Funny enough, this tournament does mark the first time an EU team has clinched top 6 at an international event, and I know some of you might be thinking like, oh, top 6, like, you know, what a freaking accomplishment. But you need to think, like, since the start of Halo, or just in general, the US has always been miles ahead. Like, I remember when I first got into this scene back in like late 2011, 2012, you would not even see an EU team in the top 12, let alone top 8. So I think for these guys to come in, and with how little practice they had against these top tier teams, to place top 6, I think it's very commendable on their part. One thing I found very interesting in this tournament was almost what seemed like a shift in the meta. And what I mean by this is the whole wasting of ammo with the sniper rifle.
Snakebite staying alive, but look at this. Frosty, he gets the sniper, and look at this. Are you serious? This is seriously what they're doing. They're just wasting all the sniper ammo. This is no joke.
Where he is now, so they're just keeping out of sight, and here we go again. More bullets being wasted as soon as he notices a few members of his team die on that kill feed.
Now, I don't know if this is something that's been ongoing for a while, but from what I can tell, most people were caught off guard. At first, myself and probably many others just sort of took it as another way of Frosty showing another form of disrespect. But if you take a second to think about it, like, it is a pretty valid strategy. There is no doubt in my mind that all the pros or any of the top players acknowledge that the sniper rifle is very easy to use in this game and can very easily take over a game that's going south. I remember Strongside actually talking about it. He put it pretty well, basically saying how wasting the ammo on the sniper was almost like a nod of respect to the other team, that if they were able to get their hands in it, that they could easily make a play and completely turn around a game that was once going in their favor. So it is definitely something, not only Optic, because other teams are doing it too. They definitely look back at it from previous tournaments just to counter some of these higher tier teams. Another thing I want to talk about, which I always find interesting at the roundabout of every year, are the new pickups.
To try and get to him, and once you get through, he's going to be just on the opposite side of the map. He's just constantly rotating, flies into the window. He's going to finish off the kill. What a move by this young kid, just coming into the scene, showing why he's got some skill to play at the top. You
know, we've seen it with so many pro teams in the past where they sort of pick up this new player almost out of nowhere, and if they continue to play with these pros, they grow to be formidable parts of the competition themselves. Now, there were a few players that definitely stood out to me, those being Jam-I-Am, Impulsion, and Musa, hope I'm pronouncing that right. But the one player that really caught my eye was this guy called Neptune on Era Eternity. You know, maybe they only caught like the best glimpses in his gameplay when they showed him on stream, but take a look back at his gameplay in the series versus Doze, and I guarantee you'll see a very more methodical gameplay style compared to other newer players in the past. He seems very confident in what he's doing and is very good at doing it. Another thing to note is that this guy's only 15 too, so for him to be playing at the level he is might be some indicators for the future. This is the new wave of talent that's coming in. I would not be surprised at all, given that if he continues to play with these pros or higher tier teams, that he will climb the ladder just as Renegade and Splice has to be at the top. Now, Optic won, if that wasn't already something known to you. Despite Splice knocking him down a notch last tournament and Envy sort of ruling everything online in the last Pro League season, Optic comes to reclaim their throne. Now, I think what the biggest concern for many is what's going to happen to Envy. Now, originally I was going to make a completely separate video on this topic just because there's so many possibilities we could think of, but I felt since it's been so long that I put this out that I might as well just talk about it here. So, in case some of you are a bit out of the loop, Huke isn't actually originally from this scene. He actually hopped on over from Call of Duty when there was a ruling that you had to be 18 or older to compete. Now, he just turned 18 like the other week, and if you hadn't heard, there was also a $4.5 million Call of Duty season that was also announced for the new game. So a lot of arrows are pointing in that direction that he might be switching over now, and many people are asking, will Envy be able to recover from this? Because Huke was their best player, like hands down, he was their best player.
No, how Huke got over there? Where did this man come from? He just clutched it. That was in my opinion, guaranteed.
Good Envious and turning a game on its head, jumps up, pings Renegade in the face, down he goes. Another player, 1-2 reversal, thank you very much. Get the hell out of here, Hyde. There's another triple!
One of the things is ooh, nice snipe coming out from Huke. Yields another one very close. That one's gonna hit onto the oxide.
Short answer, yes, I think they will be able to recover, but I don't think it's going to be just a one-player swap. There are 3 possible outcomes, I believe, what will happen from all of this. First, to replace someone like Huke, you're going to have a person who plays just like him. You know, obviously there isn't a carbon copy player of Huke in the whole league, but there is someone who comes pretty close, I think, and it's funny enough, Envy was playing with this player sort of recently, that player being Sub-Zero. And when you think about it, like, yeah, these guys kind of play pretty similar. Like, Sub-Zero, very good shot, plays very reserved just like Huke and makes a lot of plays for his team. But you gotta think, like, if this does go through, what will happen to Team Liquid? Because now they'll be down a player, and maybe you might see the same thing happen. Like, they might grab a player from another team, that team will grab from another team, and what you'll have is a whole chain reaction of teams just stealing players from one another. So that'll be fun. And all this sort of leads to my next point. Since there's no Pro League leading up to Worlds, which I'll get to in a bit, you're gonna have a lot of people just swapping players back and forth, just testing out different combinations of what might work best. And what this is going to result in, as I mentioned, is just a huge chain reaction of every team just stealing players from one another until, like, teams that we have are completely different from the teams that we started with from the beginning. The team that Envy could end up with might be completely different from what people might expect. And just leading on to my third point, Envy could also be hypothesizing, saying, like, okay, like, Huke is irreplaceable, right? That doesn't necessarily mean that we need a player just like Huke to make the team work. They could turn to someone who they already have a lot of chemistry with or just trust a lot from playing in the past. I think that the first player that Envy would turn to in this situation, given that Ninja returns to reclaim his spot on LG for Worlds 2018, would be Rain. They already have a lot of chemistry given teaming in the past, minus Snipe Down, and if they click well, I have no doubts that this team would be able to at least clinch top 3. Now, first place is a different story. I definitely do think it's a lot more difficult for them than it was before, but I also don't see them falling below from where they already are. They already have a pretty solid lineup. At the end of the day, I personally believe that this lineup will most likely be Snipe Down, Miquin, Ola, and Sub-Zero. Leading off a bit from speculation and more towards what actually happened, I thought Liquid played absolutely phenomenal on Sunday. So many people never would have thought that Liquid would make it to the finals over Splice or Envy, let alone 4-0ing the both of them. Spartan and Eco, definitely the 2 MVPs of that team in my book. Envy and Splice both played well, just not great. It was definitely one of those situations where a single team went on fire from the whole crowd. Now, another thing we definitely need to talk about is Roybox. Just in general, leading up to this event, there have been talks of a possible retirement.
Just real quick, if this is it, which who knows, but it's been an honor and pleasure with all you guys. There's tons of people in this room that deserve far more credit than Justin and I. We've had, you know, a hell of a good 10 years, and yeah, we appreciate the friendship and the camaraderie here, and hopefully it lasts a hell of a lot longer than 10 more years. So. Anyways, yeah, thanks for spending 50 minutes learning about us retards. So.
Just to round things off, there was an announcement, as I mentioned earlier, for Halo World Championship 2018, which seemingly would be the last one for Halo 5, I would assume. Many questions immediately come to mind. As I mentioned before, you know, will Ninja return to reclaim his spot in place of Rain? Or will any of the teams be the same at all? I think, just personally, that we'll be seeing a wide mix in the teams from what we have now to where we're going to be in the months leading to Worlds. And I say this mainly for 2 reasons. One, again, because of the whole Huke situation. I'm sure he won't be the only player to dabble with Call of Duty. We might see some other pros unexpectedly go to the other side. And the second reason is the potential of Roybox retiring. This having tapping buttons and Valkated as free agents, which also might mix things up. The oddest of team combinations sometimes finds a way to mesh well. So I think we might be in for a bit of surprise by the end of this year. But hey, that's just me being optimistic. Anyways, it's been fun talking to you guys again. I know it's been quite a while. Leave a like if you enjoyed enjoyed it, be sure to check out my highlights video in case you haven't seen that already. Comment down below what you think the new Envy roster might look like, or just any team in general that you think might deny the 3-peat for Optic. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time.